हरि ओम। ओ ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाये नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धेर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगताम् अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वतीपतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We are seeing the last chapter of Gita, the 18th chapter, which began with Arjuna's question. Arjuna wanted to know the exact meaning of the terms sannyas and tyaga. So Bhagavan, while answering this question, also summarizes the entire teaching of Gita. So Bhagavan first speaks about the path of karma, karma yoga. When we sincerely follow the path of karma yoga, our antakarana becomes pure and we become fit to gain knowledge. And once we gain knowledge from our teacher through Shravan and Manan, we can renounce all karmas and meditate to realize our own self directly. This path of karma yoga, wherein we have to perform our duties, dedicating them to Ishvara, is also called apara bhakti, the initial stage of bhakti, because the main thing about bhakti is to have that love for Ishvara and dedicate everything to Ishvara. So when we are able to dedicate our actions to Ishvara, it is apara bhakti. When we are able to dedicate ourselves and offer ourselves completely, that is para bhakti, which leads to total sharanagati. So with Ishvara's bhakti, with dedicating our actions to Ishvara, we gain the blessings of Ishvara, and by his blessings we come to realize, we come to know ourselves. Ishvara alone sends us to a proper teacher from whom we learn. Even the desire to gain this Advaita Jnana comes by Ishvara's blessing only. In Avadhuta Gita, it is said कि ईश्वर अनुग्रहात् एव पुंसाम अद्वैत वासना. That the Advaita vasana or desire, if we have, that is due to Ishvara's kripa only. So Ishvara alone makes arrangement for satsang to happen. Binu satsanga viveka na hoi, Ram kripa binu sulabh na soi. With Ram kripa only, we gain the opportunity of having satsang, and we learn, and we come to understand our own self. We gain that self-knowledge. But when we come to know the self in me, means self in this body, is the same self in all the bodies. The self in all, when we recognize the self in all, that self in all is also called Ishvara. Ishvara is the self of all, self in all. So when we have this deep understanding that the self in me is the self in all, and we have that love for that self in all, that is Ishvara's para bhakti, the supreme devotion. And with this supreme devotion, we surrender to Ishvara, and when we surrender to Ishvara, with his blessings, we gain that aparoksha anubhuti, we gain moksha. So this is the path, this is the advice given to all of us. Bhagavan very, very systematically, patiently taught every aspect of this teaching we saw in all these chapters, with so much of love and patience, Bhagwan taught us. He answered all Arjuna's questions. He answered all possible doubts which might come in our mind, and step by step explained everything. Not only explained everything, but he in this chapter also summarizes the teaching so that we don't forget. So we saw that Bhagwan summarizes the teaching and also briefly gives us the path of Nididhyasan in these 5 verses. Verse number 50 to 55, Bhagwan explained the path of Nididhyasan, wherein we can gain complete abidance in our real self. Same thing Bhagwan says, one can pursue the path of bhakti, and by Bhagwan's grace, Bhagwan's kripa, one gains that knowledge, one gains that parabhakti, and through Sharanagati, one becomes free from this samsara. So, sarva karmanyapi sada kurvano mad vyapashrayah mat prasadadavapnoti shashvatam padam avyayam. Bhagwan says, when you dedicate all your actions to me, you dedicate your life to me, by my kripa, you can attain that supreme abode. So, chetasa sarva karmani mai sanyasya matparaha. So, with your mind, dedicate all your actions to me and totally rely on me. And with this keeping your buddhi in me, buddhi yogam upashritya mat chitta satatam bhava, constantly meditate on me, think about me, totally surrender to me. So mat chitta sarva durgani, become mat chitta, become God intoxicated. Get totally intoxicated with God thought and all the emotions directed only towards Bhagwan. You will overcome all the obstacles, and mat prasadat tarishyasi, and by my grace, by my blessings, by my kripa, you will cross over this samsara. That's what Bhagwan taught till verse number 58. But in the second line of verse number 58, Bhagwan tells a very important thing. Let us chant verse number 58 again. Macchitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyasi atha chetvam ahankaran na shrushyasi vinakshasi. Bhagwan says that when you are totally intoxicated with my thought, you will be able to overcome all obstacles, and with my kripa, you will transcend this samsara and become free. Even while living in this world, you gain that moksha. You become Jivan Mukta. But see, this teaching is given not only to Arjuna, but through Arjuna, this teaching is given to all of us. All of us are taught this. So we have a choice. What is the choice? Either to listen to Bhagwan's teachings, follow them sincerely, and become free of this samsara, or not to listen to Bhagwan's teaching. This choice is there. See, Bhagwan doesn't force anyone. He just teaches us, gives us advice. If we follow his advice, we will become free. If we don't follow, we will be bound to this samsara. And this is very clearly presented here. Not only here, but later on in the shloka, concluding shloka also, Bhagwan tells Arjuna that I have taught you everything. Now you do what you think is proper. You decide and you do. I will only guide you. I will only advise you. But I want you to take the decision and walk this path. Or if you don't listen to my advice, then it is up to you. You get bound to this samsara and will suffer. So we are constantly listening. Listening to whom? We are listening to our own ahankar. And here Bhagwan is also teaching us, so we are listening to Bhagwan also. So it is up to us whether to follow Bhagwan's teaching or just follow our ahankar only. So Bhagwan says, Atha chet tvam ahankaran na shroshyasi vinakshyasi. If you decide not to listen to Ishvara, but listen to our ahankar only, Atha chet tvam ahankarat, that I am panditah, I am intelligent, I am wise, I know everything. Why should I listen to Bhagwan? People actually, they find faults in the teachings. They find fault in the teacher. They find fault in Ishvara. They will criticize Bhagwan Krishna. Certain things of his life they don't understand. See, they start criticizing that Krishna did this and he did that. So why should we listen to him? Or we criticize the teaching that he said like this, but there he said like that. We don't understand what he is saying. So we find faults with the teaching. We find faults with Ishvara. Or we can find fault with our teacher. The teacher doesn't know what he is teaching. He is confused himself. So we find faults with the teacher. And and we fall back on our own ahankar. And this is because of our ignorance, because of our vasanas, because of our negative samskars, because of our deep attachment to this ahankar, we fall back on this ahankar only. If we fall back on the ahankar, so Bhagwan is saying that athachet, if you decide to, because of your ahankar, because of your pride also, that I am a great Pandit, why will I listen to somebody else? Thinking in this way, na shroshyasi, if you don't listen to me means don't accept my teaching. Here Arjuna has already listened. We have also listened to this. So listening is one thing, understanding and accepting the teaching, accepting the advice. See, people many times they go to meet some Mahatmas also, wise elderly people. Huh? They go to them, do namaskar to them, and very respectfully they ask for advice. Oh Mahatma Ji, please tell me what should I do? And the Mahatma, out of his compassion, he gives that advice. They listen, but they don't listen, they don't follow, they don't accept. So they continue with their life as before. Then what is the use? It's like you have some disease, you have some ailment, you go to the doctor does beautiful diagnosis, and then the doctor gives medicine. He says you take this medicine and you will get cured immediately. So we say yes, we take the medicine in our hand, but we don't take the medicine, we throw it away or keep it very safely in our locker. That will not help. That will not save us from our ailment. Similarly, Bhagavan says, out of ahankar, if you don't listen to me, then you will get destroyed. Vinakshasi. Because what I am advising is for your welfare. What I am telling you, if you follow it sincerely, it will release you from this samsara. But if you don't listen to me, don't follow my advice, then you will get destroyed. There is no option. You can't say, no, I will not listen to Bhagavan, I will listen to somebody else. Maybe somebody else will give me some different advice. There are people who keep on going to different Mahatmas and different sources to get advice, and they collect lot of advices but never follow them. You see such type of people in the world. They go to satsang also, they listen to this Mahatma, they go to some other place, they listen to him. So they listen to everyone, but they never follow anyone. They just collect informations. They write lot of notes also, and they advise others also, but they themselves will not follow. And then when they suffer, they don't improve, then they will blame the Mahatma also. See, I had gone to him but nothing happened to me. I am still suffering because you didn't follow. See, the whole Bhagavad Gita was taught or was narrated to Dhritarashtra also. We have seen that it begins with Dhritarashtra's question. So Sanjaya narrated the entire Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra. And the most amazing or most amazing only is that Dhritarashtra never asked any questions in between. He was listening. Whether he was really listening or not, we don't know. But he never asked any questions. He never tried to clear any of his doubts. He was totally passive. There was no proactive reaction from him. Whether he accepted Bhagavan's teaching or did not accept Bhagavan's teaching, nothing, no comments. So really speaking, it didn't enter his antakarana. The teaching did not reach Dhritarashtra. Though he heard the entire Bhagavad Gita, It did not enter his antakarana. If it had entered, he would have realized his mistake of starting this war. He would have realized the greatness of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. He would have realized that what he is doing is adharma. He would have realized that what he is supporting his own son Duryodhana on the path of adharma only. He would have taken proactive action against all this adharma. But no, he was passively listening. So that is not that is not the way we should approach this teaching. We have to not only listen, but we have to understand. But not only understand, we have to accept. Only those teachings which we accept, we implement in our life. Otherwise, we will not implement. We will just listen as an academic interest. Even in universities and all, sometimes these philosophies are taught. So it is taught by those professors who are also interested only in the academic thing of the philosophy. And the students also listen with that attitude only of getting maximum marks in the exams. So it doesn't help anyone. So Bhagavan says that I have given you this wonderful teaching, and if you don't listen, and only thing which comes in the way of our listening to Ishvara is our ahankar, our own pride, our own vanity, our own this feeling that I know better. Why should I listen to Ishvara? Also, sometimes we listen to selective things. What suits our ahankar, what suits our vasanas, we say, oh, I will listen to this. But those other things, I will not do it. So we become selective. So even if we are selective in understanding and following, then also we are listening to our own ahankar only. Because ahankar is deciding. Ahankar is deciding what to listen and what not to listen, what to follow and what not to follow. That way it won't, because ahankar is based on is totally confined to is a product of our vasanas only. Ahankar is an expression of our ignorance. So if we listen to ahankar, we will remain in ignorance. If we worship the ahankar, we will be worshipping ignorance only. See, even in Ramayana, the Shiva Dhanusha, it represents that ahankar only. It has to be broken. Then only Sita ji and Ramchandra ji will get married, means they become one. Means one understand the oneness of Siya Ram. Siya Ram mai sab jag jani, karahu pranam jori jug pani. That oneness of Siya Ram we will know when that ahankar gets broken. Because ahankar is the one which creates division. Mai arumor tor tay maya, jehi basaki ne jeeva nikaya. The whole division of my, mera, tu, tera, all this itself is the play of this Maya, is the play of this, is due to ahankar only. So Bhagavan says that if you don't listen to my advice, na shroshyasi means na grahishyasi, tataha tvam vinakshyasi, then you will get destroyed. Because this your ahankar will lead you more and more into samsara only. Ahankar is made up of this ignorance. Samsara is the also product of ignorance. It will lead you more into the samsara. So, vinakshasi, you will get destroyed. Again, in the next verse, Bhagavan says that due to listening to your ahankar, if you say that I will not do this, I will do this and all, what will happen? In verse number 59, Bhagavan says, Yadahankaram ashritya nayotsyaiti manyase mithyesha vivasayaste prakritistvam niyokshati. Bhagavan says, कि यद अहंकारम आश्रित्य, taking refuge in your ahankar, in your pride, in your vanity, in your ego, in your ignorance. If you take refuge in this ahankar, hey Arjuna, and if you think na yotsyaiti manyase, that I will not fight. See, Arjuna had decided not to fight. We saw in the first chapter, Arjuna saw this army stationed in front of him. He requested Bhagavan to take his chariot in between the two armies. And after seeing Bhishma Pitamaha, Dronacharya and all his relatives, his brothers, etc., Arjuna had decided not to fight. He expressed how all the negative things which will happen due to this war. And na yotsyeti govindam oktva tushnim babuvaha. He told Bhagavan, na yotsya, I will not fight. And he just became mauna. He dropped his bow and arrow and just sat there on the chariot. To such a Arjuna, Bhagavan taught the whole Bhagavad Gita. In the beginning he told him that what you are thinking is not proper. Anarya jushtamaswargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. That what you are thinking is not proper. It doesn't befit you as a Arya, as a Kshatriya. So, and then Bhagavan started teaching him, told him that why your grief is not proper, because nobody dies. Atma doesn't die. And the body dies. Everyone's body will die whether they fight or they don't fight. When the time comes, the body will die. Even if you don't do anything in the whole life, the body will die. Those who will fight in this war, they will also die, and those who will not fight, they will also die. But Atma doesn't die. And then Bhagavan told the importance of Kartavya Karma. As a Kshatriya, you have to do your work. You are born as a Kshatriya, so everyone has got a role to play. So you as a Kshatriya, you have a role. Those who are Brahmin, they have their role. Those who are Vaishya, those who are Shudra, they have their role. So everyone has got their role to play in this world. So you keep doing that. Do your duties in the world. And as you do your duty, your mind will become pure, you will gain that self-knowledge. Then through proper, karma sannyas and nididhyasan, you can gain that realization. But now your duty is to fight this war, so fight. If you win this war, you can be the king. If you die, also, you will go to that Swarga, or you will be born again in a good family where you can continue with your life. But if you rely on your ahankar, if you have your own pride, and if you have your own thinking, and if you have your own philosophy, and if you think whatever I said is not proper, is wrong, or you just don't want to listen to me, then you will get destroyed, because what I am teaching, what I have told you is the fact. So yat ahankaram ashritya na yotsyeti manyase. If you think I will not fight, then also Arjuna, you are mistaken. You might decide not to fight, but a very strange thing will happen, कि मिथ्येश व्यवसायस्ते, this decision of yours of not fighting will be totally false, will be in vain. Why? Because prakritistvām niyokshati. Very important. Bhagavan says, your prakriti will force you to fight. You might decide not to fight, but your prakriti will force you to fight. Now this is a very important thing. See, we have seen that we have our own samskars of our past lives. And based on that we are born in a particular family with a particular varna. So this our varnas, our past samskars and our varna depends on our gunas. So the past samskars, they express certain gunas, and based on the gunas are the varnas. So our gunas propel all the actions which we are doing in this life. Whether we are doing good, bad, indifferent actions, all of them are propelled by our gunas. It's very easy to understand this with an example. That let us say you work the whole day, you are very busy. So by the evening you are very, very tired. So when you work, when you put forth lot of effort and all, you are expressing your rajogun, because rajogun only expresses as activity. And in order to perform all these activities, you also have to use your knowledge, your intelligence, your awareness, your skills. So you are also using your sattva gun. So throughout the day you are busy, running around, organizing, meeting people, doing some work. So in the evening you are so exhausted. Your rajogun goes down. Not only rajogun goes down, but your sattva gun also goes down, because you are not in the mood, you are not in that frame of mind to even think, even to do some intelligent work. So when sattva gun and rajogun goes down, then tamogun rises up. And when tamogun rises, that desire to go to sleep also comes. Desire to rest, desire to postpone any work if it is there. I say, अरे अभी नहीं कल करूँगा मैं, अभी मैं बहुत थक गया हूँ, I will do this tomorrow, not now. अभी तो मुझे I just want to eat and sleep. So that desire to sleep, is it your desire, or it is your desire only, but it is forced, it is propelled by the tamogun. The tamogun which arises during that time forces that desire, and you become helpless. You are not in a frame of mind to do any intelligent thinking, nor in a frame of mind to do any other work. You say, I just want to sleep. So the tamogun gives rise to that desire, I want to sleep. Similarly, when there is a rajogun, it gives rise to desire that I want to work. And when sattvagun arises, it gives rise to desire, I want to know. Sattvagun gives rise to desire, I want to know. The jitnyasa comes, I want to think, I want to contemplate, I want to just sit and meditate. That desire comes. It is propelled by sattvagun. The stock of desires are there, but the appropriate desires are propelled by those gunas. So those gunas bring out that desire. So our activities, our life is controlled by these gunas, which are the gunas of Prakriti. They control our desires. We might say it is my desire, but it is being propelled by the gunas. It's like the season. So when in autumn and all the leaves start falling down, and during spring season the different types of flowers and all start blooming. From where these flowers come? They were there hidden in the plants, in the trees. So why didn't they come? They want appropriate season for them to come. So when the spring season comes, the flowers start blooming. Vasanta Rutu. The flowers start blooming. Similarly, when these are the seasons, gunas are like seasons, sattvagun, rajogun, tamogun. When the sattvagun arises in our antakarana, because they will arise, because our the what you call the vasanas which we carry from our past, they express in the form of these gunas. So they will arise. Depending on the proportion, those gunas will arise in that proportion only. So if we are more sattvic, then more during the day, more sattvic guna will propel our desires. If we are predominantly rajasic, then more rajogun will, those type of thoughts will get propelled. If we are more tamasic, then more tamasic desires will come. But they will come. We can't escape. When the spring season, we can't stop the spring season from coming. And when the spring season comes, then the plants, wherever they are, they will start blooming. In a desert, the spring season will express differently. And in a valley, in a forest, it will express differently. But they will express. Similarly, the gunas will express in different person differently according to their samskar. And you can't fight with them. That is the main thing. Just like when you are totally overpowered by sleep, you can't fight with that sleep. You might try not to sleep, but the sleep will take over. Similarly, you might try to fight with rajogun. No, I will not do anything, but rajogun will take over. Similarly, one may try to fight with sattvagun, but sattvagun will take over. So similarly, here Bhagavan tells Arjuna that you may decide not to fight this war, but that will not eliminate your samskar. that will not make you a Brahman or something. You will continue to remain as a Kshatriya only. So if you don't channelize your desires in the right channel, then they will start going in the wrong direction. See, very interesting. Let us say now Duryodhana. Duryodhana was also Kshatriya and Arjuna is also Kshatriya. And Duryodhana was ready to fight this war. So can we say that Duryodhana is doing the right thing? Fighting the war as a Kshatriya, it is right. But he was not fighting a dharmic war. He was fighting against dharma. He was utilizing his Kshatriya qualities to fight against good people. So that is not proper. His Kshatriya qualities are making him fight, and if he had listened to Bhagwan and had taken his advice, then he would have used the Kshatriya qualities for the benefit of the world. Now he has become a Gunda. See, a Kshatriya with the proper guidance of the teachings of the Shastra becomes a good Kshatriya, becomes beneficial to the world. But without proper guidance by the Shastra, he continues to remain Kshatriya, but without proper guidance, he becomes Gunda. So all these terrorists and negative people who are there, who are using violence and using their powers, using their intelligence also. Very intelligent, very powerful, but without proper guidance, their Prakriti is leading them towards the negative things, towards destruction of this world, towards bad things. Arjuna also, he didn't want to fight this war, and he wanted to just leave and go away. Maybe go to the Himalayas and take sannyas and stay there. But his Kshatriya qualities will not just go away just by renouncing. So there in the Himalayas he will start organizing things, start fighting there. Or will have some ashrams and all, but with a Rajogun he will cut all the trees there and become a leader of all the sadhus there and create a lot of hangama there. So Kshatriya qualities will not just go by renunciation or by doing some other activities. They will be there and they will express in the most negative way. Similarly, a tamasic person, lazy, lethargic, sleepy, but a tamasic person also have got some rajogun quality and some sattvagun also. So the tamasic person is advised that you utilize the little bit of sattvagun and rajogun you have in service, in doing the right type of work. See, now let us try to think about this in a slightly different way. All of us, whatever be our background, whatever be our nationality, whatever be our religion, in modern times we talk about religion. Dharma is only one actually, Sanatan Dharma. There cannot be more than one Dharma. Religions, faith, beliefs can be many, but dharma can be only one. And that dharma can only be Sanatan. Sanatan means eternal. Gravitational, just like gravitational law can only be one, because it depends on the nature, on the truth. Similarly, dharma can only be one because it depends on Brahma, which is one. So whatever be our background, all of us will have these three gunas. Only thing is that proportions are different. Sattva gun, rajogun, tamogun. Depending on the proportion, the four varnas are there. But even if you don't know your varnas, you will have these three gunas in different proportion. Now, tamogun, everyone will have tamogun. So what is the best way to utilize tamogun? What is the best way to utilize tamogun? The best way to utilize tamogun is to sleep and to rest in 24 hours. If we sleep for, let us say, 8 hours, 24 hours, you divide them roughly into 3. So 8 hours. So give 8 hours to each gunas, if they are equal. So if we sleep for 8 hours in 24 hours, we will take care of that tamogun instantly. Then we have to just handle the rajogun and sattvagun. So rajogun we can utilize for proper work, and sattvagun we can utilize to gain proper knowledge. See, like little children, during holidays or vacation, or nowadays with this lockdown and all, little children, they have so much energy with them, full of rajogun. They want to run around in the house, do all sorts of things, sing loudly, dance. You must have seen, you might be having children at home. Lots and lots of energy they have. And if the small room is there or small house is there, they express their energy there only. One moment they are on the sofa, next moment they are on the table, next moment they are running around, dragging something, pushing someone, fighting with each other. What is this? All this rajogun is coming out. So suppose you take that child to the garden or on the beach and make the child run there, or play. The child plays and jumps around and gets exhausted. So when that child gets exhausted, you bring that child home and tell the child to run around. He will not run. He says, मैं तो सो जाऊंगा. So goes to sleep. Because the rajogun has got expressed. Sattvagun bhi thoda dhila ho gaya hai. So tamogun comes up, wants to sleep. So same is with all of us. So what we should do, if once the rajogun is spent, then it is not disturbing him. Similarly, if we spend our tamogun in sleeping means not that whole day you sleep, but 8 hours, let us say. You sleep completely, deeply. So once you sleep and wake up, your tamogun is taken care of. It will not bother you. I want to sleep again. No. Ho gaya na. I gave you 8 hours of sleep. So you just now don't bother me. Now there are these two things left, rajogun and sattvagun. So if a person has got very less of rajogun, less of sattvagun and all, then he can utilize, if let us say a Shudra person is there, he can utilize the Rajogun for some seva, for labor, for semi-skilled labor and skilled labor, depending on his own skill and education and training and all those things. If a person is a Vaishya, he can use that Rajogun for farming, for some productive work, for banking, for commerce, for traveling, for interacting with people and all, doing his business. And if a Kshatriya is there with that Rajogun, he can utilize it for, again, for protection of the world, for organizing, for managing, for executing, for doing that, all this intelligent work. And if a Brahman is there, he can utilize that Rajogun for his puja part, for dhyana, for upasana, for tirtha yatra, or doing his daily duties. Again, a Kshudra will also have Sattva Gun. So he can utilize that Sattva Gun for japa, for puja, for understanding the Shastras, for listening to the Puranas, Ramayana, Bhagavad, for doing Devata Aradhana. A Vaishya also can utilize this Sattva Gun for Yajna Dana Tapak Karma, learning the Shastras, doing the puja, dhyana, aradhana. Similarly, a Kshatriya also can utilize this Sattva Gun to gain proper knowledge of the Shastras, to do his sadhana. And in the same way, the Brahmanas can also use the Sattva Gun to understand the Shastras, to do his sadhana, puja, japa, tapa, dhyana. So the Shastras are saying ki you have these three gunas. You just take the advice of the Shastras and guide them in the right channel, so that you don't become a nuisance to yourself and to the world around you. If you are a Kshatriya, then become a good Kshatriya, don't become a Gunda. If you are Shudra, then become a good Shudra, don't become a lazy, useless, negative person. If you are a Vaishya, then become a good Vaishya, be creative, productive, helpful to the world around. If you are a Brahman, then become a good Brahman. Learn the Shastras, teach them to others. But if we don't become good, then we become bad. If we don't go on the right path, then we go on the wrong path. See, our that gunas will not disappear. The direction will go wrong if we don't take advice of the Shastras. And this advice is for all. And all that we see in this world is either people follow the right path and become beneficial for themselves and others, or they follow the wrong path and become nuisance to themselves and others. So here Bhagavan is telling Arjuna, hey Arjuna, please listen to me and do as I am telling you. Understand what I am saying. Otherwise you will become a nuisance to the world. You will become a bad Kshatriya. See, in the world also we find there are those politicians, there are those business people, there are those other workers, thinkers. Different type of people are there. If they become bad, then they spoil the whole institution. Politicians, if they become bad, they spoil the whole institution, create so much of nuisance for themselves and start exploiting people. Hmm. They will become dictators, they will become exploiters. They will become like Ravan, Duryodhan, not like Ram, not like Yudhishthir. So Bhagavan tells Arjuna ki listen to me, but if you rely on your ahankar and if you say I will not fight, your prakriti will force you. And since it will not have any direction, in which direction it will take your life, we don't know. We don't know. See, when we want to, when we use that boat, we have to use the sail, that sailboat. So if one wants to take the boat they should first decide which direction they have to go. And depending on the direction, they can change the sail, the direction of the sail and all, so that the boat goes in that direction. The breeze, the climate, the wind and all, movement of the wind will remain same. But knowing my direction, I can utilize it to take me to my destination. Similarly, the gunas remaining same, if we take the advice of the Shastras, they guide us to use these gunas to lead us towards our destination. It doesn't matter then whether we are Shudras, whether we are Vaishya, Kshatriyas, Brahmanas. Bhagwan's teaching is so beautiful that he says all of you can reach that destination of moksha. So, your past karmas need not become a hindrance for you to attain moksha. All of you can attain moksha if you take my advice and move in that way. But if you try to act smart and because of your ahankar don't listen to me, then you will perish. More about this we will see in our class tomorrow. Till then, you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana, and contemplate on what you have heard, understand the beauty of it. Understand the beauty of Bhagwan's teaching, accept them completely, and follow. Hari Om. See you tomorrow. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram 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 Jaya Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Boliye Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.